It's another beautiful day, and it's all love. Tarantino News. Don't forget, Black History Month. You got President's Day in Black History Month. You have Groundhog Day in Black History Month. You have Mardi Gras Fat Tuesday during Black History Month. And you also have Ash Wednesday during Black History Month. We're brought to you by Unity the Movement, and we're coming to you live from the throne room in Little Vatican. And it's just another lovely day. OG, the producer, Omega Jim, we were just talking about that concept of being disagreeable. Some people may call it unequally yoked. And I was referring to him about someone I know who doesn't believe in anything. I'm not saying you have to be a certain religion or be of a certain spirituality, but just doesn't believe in anything. And we went through a long little conversation. And I said, that's not acceptable pretty much in Miss Alabama. But I have been to the Pacific Northwest, where that type of approach and outlook is pretty much acceptable. You can be who you want to be. And throughout that conversation, I was telling them about this lady who doesn't really believe in anything, but her whole family surrounding her, they all believe in this core principles and beliefs. And now the lady, who knows, this might be Alanis Morissette, it just might be ironic. Maybe it may just only be coincidental. But for some reason now the lady, she can't walk, gets around in a wheelchair where she goes, and all her whole family, even her children, whatever she has isn't hereditary, because they're all walking around and loving life, having a good time. But she's really struggling. She keeps just burrowing in on this hatred in her heart against hope, not against some savior, not against some specific religion. She just hates hope. She hates positivity. She embraces doom and gloom. And she's suffering. But she'd rather suffer than open her heart. Why am I talking about this during Black History Month? Because we definitely have a featured Black person to discuss today. But the history in totality, you have to understand about the price that you pay when you do things you have deep in your heart that you may know or have an inclination to believe that is not right, and you carry on anyway. You can do damage to yourself. Let's talk about Thomas Rice. He's not our feature, but I don't see how you can really have a Black History Month without talking about Thomas Rice. Thomas Rice is from New York, New York. New York City. He's dead and gone, but he definitely is from New York City. Okay? So, Thomas Rice, a minstrel, putting on a show, making fun of Negroes, wearing blackface, making people laugh, and people coming from far and wide to see his presentations and his representation of the Negro, of his watermelon lips, and things of that nature. But just really becoming famous by caricaturing the Negro, wearing that blackface, selling tickets. Amazing. His character's name was Jim Crow. Basically, a little pun after those Jim Crow laws that were being implemented in the South. But that's why I started off with, he was actually from New York City. So his character's name was Jim Crow. And he just reminded me of this lady we were just discussing this morning, because he died. He made a lot of money too. But if you read, or if you know the story, he died penniless. He made all that money. And he pretty much lost all that money. Some people don't even know where his grave is. That's how destitute he became. Even though you could, with a quick search, you can find his face in the shows that he used to put on by mocking black people in an absurd fashion. However, how did he die? Now, this is what the scripts say. This is how he died. What was his problem? His problem was pretty much what he did, like his moves and his mouth, the things he was saying, the things he was saying, the things he was doing. That was pretty much his problem, the way he was just mocking black people. People, gathering from far and wide, laughing all night long, watching Jim Crow, watching Thomas Rice put on his show. How did he die? He died from basically paralysis. And the two things that stopped working were his mouth and his body. He couldn't move and he couldn't talk. And that's how he died. Reminded me of the lady, surrounded by all this hope, but she refused to hope. So she just keeps going downhill and doesn't want to do any better. Similar to Thomas Rice. He put on this show. I won't speak illy of the dead. So I will say he did things with his mouth and he did things with his body that were at the very least insensitive. And by the time that he left this planet, his body and his mouth didn't work anymore. So just be mindful of what you're doing and how you're doing it. That's enough of that, because I don't like to dwell in negativity. So let's get to our spotlight. One thing comes to mind, maybe two things come to mind when we think about our spotlight for today. One thing is I'm just a jolly guy. So I just thinking, old King Cole was a very old soul, a very merry soul, and a very merry soul was he. I just remember that nursery rhyme, old King Cole. And another thing, there's a name in the book of Genesis named Methuselah. And there's also a tree named Methuselah. And obviously, Old King Cole, that was published in like 1703. So that's a nursery rhyme that's over, is it 20? Yeah, over 300 years old. And Methuselah, basically, if you chart the ages and pay attention to how old people were in the Bible, he's the oldest character in the Bible, made it to over 1,000 years. And Methuselah is the oldest tree in the world. They named the tree Methuselah. And that tree is 5,000, at least 5,000 years old. And Black history today, we love talking about young people doing their thing. Michael Jordan, middle-aged man. What about the value of holding it down? CeeLo Green style, 1, 2, 3, 4. What are you waiting for? Live. How about your first and primary job? Living. I think I heard Drake say something like, I'm not a big Drake fan, but I won't hate on Drake either, because he has a way with what he does, Drake. Something like, nobody want to die, but nobody want to live. So our shout out today is Hester Ford. She's from South Carolina, to the best of my knowledge, but now she lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. And she is the oldest living, not woman, not black person. She is the oldest living American right now. Black lady, Hester Ford, been holding it down since 1905. So I really do have my my abacus. Hold it right next to Hester Ford because I'm trying to see if somebody can make it past 120. Now, I don't want to hear about folklore or somebody way down yonder in those hills and, you know, they're way past 120. Sure. They just might be. But I'm talking about documented, seriously documented, you know, American style, you know, where babies just not just hatched and they're just running around. Maybe Hester Ford. Some people say she was born in 1905. Some people say she was born in 1906. But I've had family members in that similar field here. And that was all the way to the 1920s. When was she born and when was he born? Some say 20 and some say 21. So I can understand that 1 year off. Hester Ford, she's been here for a while. According to records, longer than any other American is still able to stay above the marching circle. So big shout out to Hester. You know, what is the key to long life? She's already been asked these questions. We can easily find them out with just a very little investigation. But we appreciate her for not crashing out. If you've ever seen the movie Sausage Party, there have been a lot of passionate people who chose to crash out. But I really thank Hester Ford for sticking in there, hanging in there, not electing to crash out. You know, not doing like Tupac. And there's no hate on Tupac. But it is on wax, where he said he was getting closer to embrace that early death. So I'm really thankful for Hester Ford for not embracing that early death, that choice that we all can choose. Like, I'm sick of this, just get me out of here. I believe Ray Gibson's daddy, you know, he was fighting a tough time, and Ray said he had enough of this and he hung himself. So, you know, she didn't check out. And definitely she hadn't lived at least 115 years, and some say 116 years. Certainly she hasn't lived that long and not had tough times. For some reason, she's decided to keep on breathing, hang in there just a little while longer, taking care of her body in some fashion, to where body parts still working. So, hey, thank you, Miss Ford. Thank you, Hester Ford, for being who you are. Thank you for showing us that we actually can be satisfied with long life. But we definitely have to play our part. We have to decide that we won't die. We have to decide that we are going to keep breathing. We won't be comparing ourselves to others. Basically, the thing that people know about Methuselah is he lived the longest. Now, I'm sure while he was living, there was people doing some great and awesome things, known for different stuff. But he's known for living. And living is a great thing to be known for. Like Snoop said, you don't have to keep up with the Joneses. You don't have to be all up on your telephones. You can live your life and say, what are you doing? Breathing, enjoying this oxygen, being able to look up at the sky, being able to wiggle my fingers and toes, staying clothed in my right mind. That's what I'm doing. That may be a profession that more of us need to endorse. Because if you really open your eyes and pay attention to this world, especially during this dark winter, as Joe Biden has been discussing, and during this pandemic, we really do get to understand there's not much going on worthy of our participation. Not causes and events, not jobs and occupations, It's like a old Hot Boy song. It's a good time to just get out the way. Keep breathing. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, send them to New York City, 718, Brooklyn. We here. If you have any pictures, memes, videos, or captions, like Nate Dogg said, you know what's up with 213. Send them to LA. Just a big shout out today for everyone. Wherever you may find yourself, if you find yourself on that side with Thomas Rice, doing too much, just manicure your actions just a little bit better. You find yourself on that road to being able to tell the story, being able to put on your robe, tell that story of how you made it over, that Hester Ford vibe, and you keep holding on. Thanks to everyone. Just that those two stark comparisons between doing what you can and crashing out early for fame, money, or some alternative reason, or that constitution that it takes to never quit and to keep breathing, that contrast, early crashing out or sticking around for a long time through resolve, that contrast as we bright to white definitely reminds me of a song.
Our mothers and fathers are gone. Our sisters and brothers are gone. Our babies and children are gone. But life goes on. And so you gotta be strong, because hard times do not discriminate. They only intimidate, bully, and eliminate people without any faith. And if it wasn't for the pitfalls in my life, I never ever would have learned how to climb out. Some things you can't be told or taught. Some things you just gotta find out. Some people go from millions to nothing. Some people go from nothing to meals. But what both of them got in common, neither one of them is happy still. You can be a preacher or back to steal, or whatever your tactics is. So many people out here so fake, they need to take a break and practice real. Tight,